Thank you. I now call the Deputy Premier, Minister for Transport, Infrastructure and Planning.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, Cross River Rail is fully funded and moving full steam ahead.
Thank you, members. Thank you. I call the Deputy Premier.
Mr Speaker, I'll take that interjection from those opposite. Laughing. Yeah, absolutely, all of you, because there wasn't much content. I don't know if you noticed, there was a lot of voices raised, not a lot of content, but a lot of humour, Mr Speaker, a lot of humour about delivering infrastructure in this state. Because we know when they were in government, they cancelled infrastructure projects, Mr Speaker. They took money out of the infrastructure project, Mr Speaker, except, and I'll take that interjection.
Thank you, members. Thank you. Thank you. I call the Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'll take that interjection from the Minister for Child Protection. Yes, the only project they advanced was number 1 William Street, a tower to their own vanity. A tower to their own vanity, Mr Speaker. With no business case.
Dear, we haven't even started yet, so I call the Deputy Premier.
Mr Speaker.
All right, members. Deputy Premier has a call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, unlike those opposite, we want to deliver infrastructure for the people of Queensland, not for politicians, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, last week...
Thank you, members. Deputy Premier has a call.
Mr Speaker, I will take that interjection from the member for Kawana, who was in no small part responsible for the fact that they didn't move into number 1 William Street. Mr Speaker, my agency took the message about Cross River Rail to the Ekka last week, where we hosted a stand to showcase the project's benefit to the people of South East Queensland. More than 5,000 people.
Thank you, members. Thank you. Deputy Premier has a call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Yes, I think they have had red cordial cake. I think they have had a whole bunch of red cordial this morning. That's why they're behaving like children. More than 5,000 people, Mr Speaker, more than 5,000 people.
You have the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. More than 5,000 people visited the Cross River Rail stand, and the message they delivered was loud and clear: get on with building it, Mr Speaker. And that's exactly what we're doing. Mr Speaker, it would already be under construction if the member for Clayfield hadn't cancelled the agreement with the federal government at this stage to get on and construct it. Mr Speaker, our impressive 94,500 jobs created figure would be even more impressive if those opposite had not cancelled the agreement with the Gillard government at the time to get this project built. Mr Speaker, so today we're getting on and doing exactly that. I'm also pleased to announce that the Queensland Government has appointed the Cross River Rail Delivery Authority's new Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, members. Thank you. I call the Deputy Premier.
Mr Speaker, following an international open market recruitment process, Mr Graham Newton has been selected as the successful candidate. Mr Newton is an outstanding appointee. He's had more than 25 years' experience in the infrastructure sector. He's led large-scale, high-profile and complex infrastructure projects in the private and public sector. Under his leadership, projects worth billions of dollars have been delivered. With his appointment, we are demonstrating that we are focused on getting on with the delivery of this transformative project that the state needs. Now that we have appointed Mr Newton as CEO, we can quickly move forward with the project's delivery. And getting on with the delivery means creating thousands of jobs for Queenslanders, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker.
Member for Callide, I was about to counsel your colleague, the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. She has the call. Members, Deputy Premier has the call.
Mr Speaker, more than 1,500 jobs will be created each year during construction and more than 3,000 jobs in the most intensive years of construction. Importantly, Mr Speaker,
thank you, members. Thank you.
Mr Speaker, clearly their intention is to disrupt this parliament consistently.
Thank you, Deputy Premier.
Mr Speaker.
Righto, thank you, members. Member for Cleveland. All right. Now, member for Redlands. You're warned. Can I also give member for Beaudesert? Member gave a notice. If you continue, you'll also be warned. You're warned under 253A. And member for Callide, what's your point?
Point of order, Mr Speaker. The member for South Brisbane has used her ministerial statement opportunity to bait the opposition continuously.
Thank you. What's your point of order?
Mr Speaker.
I took your interjections.
Mr Speaker.
Member Callide has the call.
Mr Speaker, opportunities are provided in this parliament quite rightly to ministers to make ministerial statements about government business. And when ministers stray from that and use it to bait the opposition... Thank
you, Member Callide. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. No point of order. Leader of the House, what's your point of order?
My point of order, Mr Speaker, is that the Leader of Opposition Business is failing to draw to your attention the number of interjections that came from those opposite as soon as the Deputy Premier stood to her feet. So that provided the opportunity for her to respond to those. I know. I accept the proposition that the Leader of Opposition Business is making, that ministerial statements need to be about providing information. But there must be some allowance, Mr Speaker, for a minister on their feet to be able to respond to interjections that come from the opposition.
Thank you, Leader of the House. Members, I have tried to be tolerant when I have thought a minister has made provocative comments. I have allowed interjections from those who felt offended. When I've thought the minister has not made provocative comments, I've tried to rule according, and that's the basis of my ruling. I call the Deputy Premier. You have the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Importantly, hundreds of apprentices and trainees will also be employed on this important nation-building project. In addition, thousands of new jobs will also be created in and around new station precincts. Mr Speaker, next week we will take the next steps in procuring this project. Tomorrow week an industry briefing will be held in Brisbane to provide construction and engineering companies with information about the procurement process.
I call the Deputy Premier. No, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, you're pushing the boundaries. If you persist, you'll be warned, and it may be 252. You know the rules. You are a senior member of the House. I call the Deputy Premier. You have the call.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As I was saying, tomorrow week an industry briefing will be held in Brisbane to provide construction and engineering companies with information about the procurement process for the project's delivery. This important step signals that start of the delivery phase for this project. And when we open formal expressions of interest in September, our Buy Queensland policy will be in force. That means more opportunities for Queensland businesses to be involved in winning work as part of this $5.4 billion project. Mr Speaker.
I don't know who that was. Deputy Premier, you have the call.
Mr Speaker, Cross River Rail is vital for Queensland because it will unlock 40 years of ongoing economic development. Most importantly, it unlocks economic growth in the outer suburbs and regional southeast Queensland, especially the Gold Coast, Ipswich, Caboolture and the Redlands. Mr Speaker, but even more importantly, it will mean commuters in outer suburbs and regions can live where they want and know that they have an efficient, world-class public transport system to get them to work and home to their families.
Thank you. I now call the Treasurer and Minister for Trade and Investment.